When we will
Yes, please.
get the recordings,
You will get it tomorrow.
previous
Okay?
recordings?
Yes, yes, yes. Every 3 days we'll send the recordings. Okay. I'll share the recordings for every 3 days. Any other questions? Chalo, fine. Okay, let's continue the discussion, guys. So yesterday we discussed all these things related to the installations. Okay. Uh, can you see my screen, guys? It's still loading. What you can see now currently? Which window you can see currently?
Notepad.
Notepad, right? It is showing like this. Your screen share is loading. Okay, fine. Fine. Okay, so let's continue the discussion. So in the last class we discussed about the installations and installation related things and stuff, whatever questions they are going to ask related to the installations, how many folders and what and all folders will be created after SQL Server installation. After SQL Server installation, guys. Okay, right? So generally, let me turn on this captions as well. Captions. Right. Okay. Generally, when you install SQL servers, two types of folders will be created, guys. One is binaries, okay? Binaries folders will be created. And second one is instance root directory. Instance root directory, okay? In how many ways we can find out the instance name? How to find out the instance name without connecting to the management studio? How to find out the instance name without connecting to the management studio? So can anyone tell me the answer, guys? How many ways we can find out the instance name and how to check the instance name without connecting to the management studio?
C folder.
C folder.
Program file.
Okay.
MS SQL server. In that you can find it.
Okay. Right.
Also binaries will also there.
Yes. Okay, fine. Okay, so generally we can, okay, let me connect to this server. Okay, it's still up and running. Okay, it's still restarting. Right, so generally we can find out using instance root directory, guys. Okay, using instance root directory you can find out the instance name. That is one way. And second way is in the services.msc also you can find out the instance name. Okay, so generally if they ask like how to find out the version of the SQL server or else how to find out the instance name without connecting to the SQL server management studio, answer is your C program files, Microsoft SQL server. In that you can see one folder. I'll show you guys with instance name you can see. Okay, so let me connect to this server remotely. Right, okay. So now let me open C program files. It's taking time. Right. So when you open C, okay, generally, if you open C drive and go to program files, okay, so when you install SQL Server, it will create this folder, guys. When you install SQL Server, please be muted if you don't have questions, Anus. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so if you install SQL Server, then it will create a folder with the name of Microsoft SQL Server. How many instances you are installing? For every instance, one folder will be created, guys. I told you right yesterday, we can install up to 50 instances, right? So for every instance, one folder will be created. All that instance related files, databases, everything will be stored in that particular folder. See, if you open this folder, now I can see binaries means these are the numbering folders. That number folders are called binaries, guys. Okay, client tools SDK means these are some supported files, shared features, I can say. And if you see here how many instances I installed in this machine, how many, guys, how many instances I installed in this machine? 3 instances you can see here. And what and all their versions, guys? Can anyone tell me what are the versions I installed in this machine without connecting to the SQL Server Management Studio? How to check it? Using this folder.
Incompatibility level.
Yes, using these folders, we can find out how many instances we installed, what are the instance names, what are the instance versions also. So if anyone is asking like how to check the SQL Server version without connecting to the Management Studio. So what is the answer, guys? In C program files, Microsoft SQL Server, instance root directory path. This is called instance root directory path. Folders will be created for each instance. So there you can see the build numbers of the folders. Okay, so the format you can see here. This is the format, guys. MS SQL 15. 15 means which version, guys? I asked you to go through the versions of SQL Server. Not sure how many of you.
2019.
Yes, 15 means SQL Server 2019. 15 means SQL Server 2019 I installed, and the instance name is, what is this instance? Default instance or named instance? Named instance. You can see the name of the instance. Default instance means you can see MS SQL Server. For default instance, the folder names, services names will be MS SQL Server. Now you can see 115 is there and 216s are there, means we have installed 2019 to SQL Server 2022 instances in this machine. And the name also you can see, one instance name is Sose University, another instance name is default instance. So what is the name of the default instance, guys?
MS SQL Server.
Can I connect using MS SQL Server in the Management Studio? What name I have to give to connect to the default instance? What name I have to give, guys, to connect to the SQL Server for default instance? What name I have to give in the Management Studio? Can I connect just giving MS SQL Server? Is it going to work? No.
By default,
Computer name.
By default, it will take computer name.
Right. Okay. So you cannot connect. See, folders and services are going to be created with the name of MS SQL Server, but you cannot connect using MS SQL Server in the Management Studio. You have to give computer name. So default instance means which name you have to give, guys? Computer name. You have to give computer name to connect to the particular instance. Okay. So in this way, you can find out the number of instances, instance name, what versions installed in that machine. Without connecting to Management Studio, we can check, guys. Okay, even we can see the same information in the configuration manager also. We can see the same information in the SQL Server configuration manager also. So where I can see the configuration manager, I guess here it will be So in the configuration, yeah, this one you can see in the SQL Server Configuration Manager also you can see. So in the Configuration Manager, we can see lot of things, guys. We can see the services, we can see the protocols, we can see the network configurations. So everything we can see in the Configuration Manager. So generally they might ask you this question: what is the use of the browser service? What is the use of the browser service in SQL Server? Okay. What is the use of the browser service in SQL Server? Oh yeah, in SQL Server. So generally browser service will help you. Browser service will help you to connect to the server remotely. Okay, browser service will help you to connect to the server remotely. Means it will detect the instance name in the network. So in the organization, your servers will be there in the network, guys. So in case if anyone, by default this browser service will be turned on. By default this browser service, okay, this browser service will be turned off, guys. Okay, for safety purpose. Why? Because if it is turned on, I'll show you, everyone can see the instance name and all, which is risky. Okay, the instance name will be exposed, guys. Where it will be exposed, I'll show you, guys. Here, while connecting to the instance, you can see here, right? Generally you will click here and you will click on browse for more. So if you click on browse for more, if I click on network servers and all, the instance for which the browser services is up and running, okay, so all the instances you can find here, guys. That is risky. If other people are able to see the server names and all, it is kind of risky, right? So for safety and security purpose, generally browser services will be turned off, guys. For safety and security purpose, forget about these things. These three instances are there in my machine. In this Windows server, these three instances are there. Like this Windows machine, we will have hundreds of servers. Got it? Now this is 160, 192, 168, 0.11, right? 0.12, 13, 14, 15, like that machines will be there. In that, whatever SQL servers you installed, if you turned on browser service in those machines, all the instance name you can see here, guys, which is risky. Okay, that's why for security purpose browser service will be turned off, guys. Okay, for security purpose browser service will be by default, okay, browser service will be turned off due to security purpose. Okay, and only one browser service will exist, guys. Only one browser service will exist. Why? Because this is a shared feature. Browser service will exist per machine. This is another interview question, guys. Okay, this is another interview question. Next, what is the default port number for SQL Server? What is the default port number of SQL Server? What is the default port number, guys? 1433. What is the default port number? 1433. Where I can see the default port number? In the configuration manager you can see default port number. Okay, where I can see in the configuration manager. Let me open that one. Let me, why it is still taking time. Okay, SQL Server 2022 configuration manager, right? So in the configuration manager we can do lot of things, guys. We can change the service account using configuration manager, we can change the port numbers using configuration manager, we can start the SQL servers using configuration manager, we can enable and disable the ports using configuration manager. So lot of things we can do using configuration manager. So where I can see the port number, okay, so now if you go here, right, this is configuration manager, guys. If you click on this SQL server services, you can see all the services, guys. You can see all the services here. Okay, for we have installed 3 instances, right? So database engine for first instance, agent service for first instance, and full text service for first instance, like that you can see for each instance 3 services, 3 specific services you can see here. Okay, for each instance, 3 specific services. Again, Source University Database Engine Service, Source University Agent Service, and Source University Full Text Service. Like this, you can see, and Database Engine, Full Text, and Agent Service. Other than that, you can see Browser Service also. Okay, so these are the services you can see. In case if you want to restart, select the service. This is the restart button, or right click, you can go for restart. This is how either we can restart the SQL services from the services.msc, and we can restart the SQL services from configuration manager also. Okay, both options you can use to restart the SQL server and SQL related services. Okay, now if you click on the SQL Server client configuration, there you can see client protocols. Okay, you can see here, right? You can see TCP/IP. TCP/IP is very important, guys. TCP/IP is very important. So if you double click here, and where I can see the TCP/IP port number, guys, double click on the port, and if you go here, why I cannot see? 1 minute, it was changed, I guess. Okay, SQL Server native client. This is for default instance. Client protocol network. Where is SQL Server? Sorry, not native client. SQL Server network configuration, guys. Yeah, SQL Server network configurations. Okay. So every instance will have its own protocols. Every instance will have its own protocols. Okay. These are the protocols for SQL Server. 3 protocols will be there. How many protocols will be there? 3 protocols: shared memory, TCP/IP, named pipes. How many protocols will be there? How many protocols will be there for one instance? Okay, so we can see 3 protocols for each instance. Okay, so what are those names? Okay, one is shared memory, named pipes, and another one is, third one is your TCP/IP. TCP/IP is very important, which will be responsible for remote communication. Okay, so in case if you install SQL Server in the US data center, I can still able to connect from India. How it is possible? Using TCP/IP protocols, guys. Using TCP/IP protocols, I am able to connect to the server remotely. Okay, so this is very important. Even your port number also you can see in the TCP/IP only. Go to the server, go to see this default instance, right? What is the default instance port number? What is default instance port number? 1433. Can we change the port number? Can we change the port number? Answer
Yes,
is
it is.
Yes.
port number. Or can we change the default port number? Okay, so the answer is yes, we can change. Okay, but it's a downtime activity. Okay, we have to restart the SQL server after changing the port number. Okay, it's a downtime activity, guys. You have to take proper approvals, and then only you can change the port number of any instance, named instance, default instance, we can change it. Okay, so where I can see the port number, go to TCP/IP, go to the properties. There you can see IP addresses. If you see here, TCP port 1433, TCP port 1433. It's a kind of a what I can say, listener, guys. It's a kind of a listener. It is going to listen the connections. Port means what? Please be muted if you don't have questions. Okay, so it's a kind of a what I can say, it's a kind of a port means it is going to listen outside connections and all. It is going to listen, guys. If it is open, then only we can connect to the server. If it is closed, we cannot connect to SQL server. Okay, so in case if anyone is asking, I am unable to connect to the SQL server, how to troubleshoot? I am unable to connect to the SQL server, how to troubleshoot? Interview question, guys. Okay, so lot of things you have to check. First thing is check whether SQL services are up and running or not. Okay, check whether SQL services are up and running or not. And second thing is you have to check that TCP IP is enabled or not. TCP IP is enabled or not. So TCP IP is responsible for communication. If TCP IP is disabled, generally people cannot connect, okay, to the server. See, if it is in the same machine, no issues. Okay, if it is in the same machine, it's not mandatory to enable TCP IP. See, now I have my instance, right? My instance has been installed on the same Windows machine, okay, 0.11 machine. So if I want to connect to the any of these three instances, I don't need TCP IP. If you are connecting outside of the organization, then the TCP IP should be enabled. If the TCP IP is not enabled, you cannot connect to the SQL servers, guys. Okay, so in the same way, shared memory, okay, named pipes also. If TCP IP is enabled, so you can connect to the instance, guys, from other building or other country or other state, wherever it is, through remote options you can connect to the SQL server, guys. So how to change the port number? Interview question, guys. How to change the port number? How to change the port number? To change the port number, okay, make sure we have proper downtime approvals. Okay, once, okay, then go to configuration manager and go to network configuration, then go to TCP IP, right click, go to properties and select IP addresses tab and go down. We can change the port number. After changing the port number, we have to restart the SQL server. Okay, fine. So this is how generally we can change the port number, guys. Okay, from where we can change it? Okay, go to configuration manager, go to network configuration, go to the instance protocol, go to the, okay, TCP IP properties and go to IP addresses tab. If you go down there, you can see IP all. Okay, IP all. Here you change it, then it is going to like now 1433, right? So I can change it to 1435. 1435, like that I can change. Okay, if you go down, we can see IP all. There we can change the port number, guys. IP all, we can change the port number. So this is how we can change the SQL server port number. This is also important interview question, guys. You will get these questions. Okay, any questions till now, please? No questions? Okay, right. So what are SQL Server startup parameters? What are SQL Server startup parameters? Okay. So master database data file. Okay. Master database data file, master database log file, and error log file. These are the startup parameters. These are the SQL Server startup parameters. There are three startup parameters are there. Where I can see the startup parameters? If you go here you can see SQL Server. Generally, you can see the properties of this service. There you can check the startup parameters. If you go to these properties of SQL Server database engine service, see here startup parameters. Okay, so there you can see, if you click on the startup parameters, say there you can see here, guys, -d, okay, -d master.mdf. D means data file, -l master.log.ldf, master database data file, log file. L means log file, -e means error log file. These are the startup parameters. If you want to change, can we change the startup parameters? Yes. Okay, Can we change the startup parameters? What are the SQL Server startup parameters? Where we can see? Where we can see? Where we can see? So master database data file -d, master database log file -l, and error log file which is -e. So we can see this. We can see the startup parameters. Startup parameters in configuration manager and in services.msc screen also. Okay, can we change the startup parameters? Yes. Okay, yes, we can change the startup parameters. Okay, yes, we can change the startup parameters from either configuration manager or from services.msc. But we have to restart the SQL server after changing the startup parameters. Okay. Next, how to start SQL server in single user mode. Okay, how to start SQL server in single user mode. Okay, we have to add -m in the startup parameters to start the SQL server in single user mode. Single user means only one user can connect, guys, at a time. Okay, so how to add? If you go to the startup parameters, go to the data file. Okay, there you can add update. Okay, if you go and add -m, if you add this one, this will be added here. See, it will be added here, and if you apply and click OK, and if you restart, SQL server will be started in a single user mode, guys. Okay, let me add one more thing. We have to add one more number also. Let me cross check this one. Okay, let me cross check something number 3608, I guess we have to add. Okay, how to start SQL server in single user mode. Okay, let me check. One -m is enough, or we have to add 3608 also. Let me check. Let me cross check. Okay, services.msc and config manager, properties. Okay, here -m. Yeah, that's it. Okay, -m is enough. No need to add extra thing. And you have to restart the SQL server, guys. Okay, when you start the SQL, when you just start the SQL server in single user mode. Okay, okay, let's add this one also. Let's start MS SQL servers -m/m. Let's add this one also. How to start the SQL server in single user mode? We have to add -m in the startup parameters to start the SQL server in single user mode, or we can run net start. We can run net start. Okay, what is the command? Net start. We can run net start MS SQL server. If it is default instance name MS SQL server /m. Okay, from command prompt. So if we start SQL server in single user mode, we can only able to connect using command prompt. Why? Because it don't accept any other connections, guys. Okay, it don't accept any other connections, so that's why through command prompt using management studio also we can do that, but we have to close all the connections. Okay, only one connection, single user means only one user can connect to the SQL server. No other users can connect to the SQL servers, guys. Okay, any questions till now, please? Any questions? Any doubts? Anything you want to discuss? Anything I missed, guys, in these topics? Anything I missed? Nothing, right? I can proceed, right? Right. Okay. Chalo. So let's discuss about the internals, guys. When you install SQL Server, what system databases you will get it. We'll discuss about the system databases and all. Okay. So when you install SQL Server, how many system databases you'll get? Generally, 4 system databases will get, guys. Okay. When you install SQL Server, 4 system databases will get. But how many system databases are there in SQL Server? How many system databases in SQL Server? Okay, so generally 5 system databases are there, guys. 5 system databases are there. Okay, master, model, MSDB, tempdb, and resource database. Okay, so I'll tell you quick points for each database, guys. Will store the master will store the instance level configurations. Master will store the instance level configurations. Okay, and configurations, data files, other database data files locations, other database data files and log files locations, logins and passwords information. Okay, information will be stored. It's a very critical database. It's a heart of the SQL Server. It's a heart of the, or else it's very critical database. If master is corrupted, SQL Server won't start. Okay, if master is corrupted, SQL Server won't start, guys. Next is model. Okay, so what model will contains? Model will act as a template for newly created databases. All the system objects and properties of model DB will be replicated to the newly created databases. Okay, so last interview, one of our student faced one question, guys. One interview question. What is that interview question? Okay, whenever he is creating a new database, automatically that new database has to get two data files. Okay, two data files automatically. Generally, when you create a database, you will get only one data file and one log file. So he is asking, whenever you are creating a new database, we have to get two data files. How to get it? So for that, what is the solution? You have to go to model database properties. Okay, go to the file space, okay, add one file here. Okay, already one data file is there, right? You can see this is the first data file. I'm going to add one more data file. Okay, so more data file 2. Okay, and click OK. Chalo, click OK, guys. So now whenever you are creating any new database, the master database cannot have added files to them. Okay, fine. 1 minute. I'm going to revert this. what question he asked? Model database only, related to model database only. Automatically the file. Okay. Okay. So this is the question. Okay. So whenever you are creating a new database, whenever user is creating a new database, okay, the data file size should be more than or should be 1 GB. Okay, automatically it has to be done. It has to add the 1 GB data file. Okay, how to do it? Right, chalo. Now let me go to the server. So generally when you are creating a new database, okay, how to create a new database? Go to Management Studio, right click on database, you'll get new database option. So here you can see, right, what is the initial size of the file? 8 MB only. You can say I can give the name here, I can click OK. In this way new database will be created. Okay, so this is int prep batch. Okay, so this way just click OK, the new database will be created like this. Chalo, now what is the file size of this database? You can see 8 MB data file, 8 MB log file. Okay, right? So you can see like this. But he is asking whenever he is creating a new database, he has to get 1 GB data file. How to do that? If you change the model database properties to 1 GB, okay, if you change the model database properties to 1 GB data file size to 1 GB, now whenever you are creating a new database, okay, whenever you are creating a new database, automatically the new database data file size will be 1 GB, guys. See here, see, earlier it was 8 MB. Now I changed the model database property and I am trying to create a new database which is showing 1 GB, guys. Okay, so in this way you can change the settings of model database, and that is the answer for this question, guys. I am going to change it back to 8 MB. Okay, files, and I am going to set it to 8 MB, right? Chalo. So is it clear, guys? Okay, so this is the question. Logically is asking like this: whenever user is creating a new database, the data file size should be 1 GB automatically. It has to add the 1 GB for data file. How to do it? Okay, if you do changes to the model database, the same changes will be carried to the newly created database. So automatically the newly created database will get a 1 GB data file. Okay, the answer is when we do changes, when we change the model database properties, okay, then the newly created database will follow model DB properties. So in this way we can do this. Okay, right. MSDB, what is the use of the MSDB? MSDB is responsible for automation. MSDB is responsible for automation. All the jobs, SSIS packages, backups, restores, log shipping information will be stored in MSDB. If model is corrupted, one more important question. If model is corrupted, SQL Server won't start. Then they will ask you guys, if my model database is corrupted, SQL Server will start or not. Okay, so the answer is SQL Server won't start. I'll tell you why it won't start. Okay, if model is corrupted, SQL Server won't start. Okay, right. So now tempdb, guys, tempdb means it's temporary work area. It's a temporary work area to the users. All the sorting operations will be done in tempdb only. Okay, all the sorting operations will be done in tempdb only, and data processing will be done in tempdb. Okay, So it's a critical database. It's a critical database. Okay. We cannot take backup for tempdb, and if we restart SQL Server, new tempdb will be created every time. Very important, guys. Okay. So I just asked you one question right here. If model is corrupted, SQL Server won't start. Why? If model is corrupted, SQL Server should start, and I cannot create new databases. Okay. But if model is corrupted, I cannot start the SQL Server. Why? What is the reason? Can anyone tell me, guys? Any idea?
MDBs depend on model database.
Very good, very good. Okay, so the tempdb will create. 1 minute. Chalo? So why? Because tempdb will be created whenever you restart the SQL Server. A new tempdb will be created. So this new tempdb will be created. If this is a new database, right? A new tempdb will be created. So if tempdb is creating automatically, means we have to set the data file size, we have to set the log file size, we have to give the locations for data files and log files. Who is giving those properties? It is inheriting from the model database. If model is offline, tempdb cannot be created. If tempdbs cannot be created, SQL Server cannot start, guys. Clear? Is it clear? Why? Because when we restart SQL Server, a new tempdb will be created. So while creating, it will inherit the properties of model DB. If model is offline, if model is corrupted, tempdb cannot be created. If tempdb cannot be created, SQL Server won't start. Okay, so that is the answer for this question, guys. Right, next, resource database. So resource database is a hidden database, guys. Is a hidden database. We cannot see resource database in Management Studio. It's responsible for patchings and all. If we patch, actually resource DB version will be changed. Okay. Where we can see the resource database, where we can see the resource database files, we can see the resource database files.
Bin folder.
Yes, in bin folder. Okay, so in binaries. Okay, where I can see the resource database files, guys, in bin folder. Go to this folder, binaries, right? Go to 160 binaries. Go to no, come back, not here, not in binaries. Go to this instance to directory MS SQL. There bin folder will be there, right? There bin folder. So here, if you go down, see here, resource database data file, MS SQL system resource database log file. And again, I'm saying, when you create a database, two files will be created. Okay, one is data file, another one is log file. Okay, so not in binaries, bin and folder in instance root directory. Okay, so when we create a database, how many files will be created? Okay, 2 files will be created. One is data files, second one is log file. Okay, how many types of data files are there? Okay, 2 types of data files are there. Okay, so one is MDF, which is master data file. Second one is NDF, which is new data file or next data file. Okay, fine. Any questions? Right? Fine. So can we add how many MDF files will be there for database? Only one MDF file will be there and multiple data files we can add, multiple NDF files. Okay, multiple NDF files we can add, right? How many MDF files will be there per database? Only one MDF files will be there and multiple NDF and LDF files we can add, guys. This is also one interview question, right? So we'll go a little bit inside, guys. We'll go a little bit inside. So generally in SQL Server, okay, if you go inside the SQL Server, if you go inside the SQL Server, what will be there, guys? Databases will be there. If you go inside the databases, data files and log files will be there. If you go inside the data files, okay, what will be there, guys? Extents will be there. If you go inside the extents, pages will be there, guys. Okay, pages will be there. Page is a basic storage unit of SQL Server. Page size is 8 KB. Extent is a basic allocation unit in SQL Server. How many types of extents are there?
2 types.
Very good. 2 types of extents. Okay, one is mixed extent, second one is uniform extent. When you create a table, mixed extent means all the objects means objects can be tables, objects can be indexes, anything, objects can be stored procedures, anything, all the objects of in mixed extents, how many pages will be there, guys? In mixed extent, how many tables I can create? Can anyone tell me? We can create only one table per page. Okay, now tell me, in mixed extent, how many tables I can create?
Different types of
Mixed extents means different objects will be created. Okay, different objects will be created in the mixed extents. Okay, so how many tables I can create in mixed extent?
different objects.
How many objects? Logically, think logically. Each page one table I can create. In mixed extent, how many pages will be there?
8.
8
Eight.
tables. Okay, I can create maximum of 8 tables in mixed extent. Okay. What about uniform extent? Single table will be stored across all the pages of the uniform extent. Now tell me how many tables I can create. How many tables I can create for mixed uniform extent? Maximum.
One.
Only one. That's it. Why? Because all the 8 pages will be stored on a uniform extent. Only one table. Max only one table I can create in a uniform extent. Can anyone tell me what is the size of extent?
64.
8. Extent is nothing but collection of 8 pages, right? Extent is like
64
a basic
pages.
allocation SQL server, and collection of 8 pages is called one extent. Okay, so 8 pages, each page size is 8 KB, 8 into 8 is 64 KB, 8 into 8 64 KB, sorry 63, right? Sorry, 64 KB guys. Chalo, any questions, any doubts please? Any questions? Okay, so how many types of pages will be there? How many types of pages will be there in SQL? No one will ask this question, guys. Very rarely will get these questions about extents. Why? Because no one knows these many internals. Okay, so everyone will ask normal questions, whatever we discussed. But for 4 years, 5 years, no one will ask. But unfortunately, if the interviewer is a typical interviewer, definitely is going to ask. Okay, how many types of pages will be there in SQL Server? 2 types of pages. Okay, data pages, system pages. In data pages, again we have database, text or image page, and what is the other page, guys? Database, text or image page. One more easily there. Text or image page, database, text or image page. Index page, I guess. Index page. Okay, index page. Right. So in system pages, okay, let me delete these two. So in system pages we have 8 types, guys. We have system pages. Okay, we have 8 types. Okay, GAM page, global allocation map, SGAM page, shared global allocation map, IAM page, index allocation map, DCM page, differential changed map, BCM page, bulk changed map, GAM, SGAM, DCM, BCM, IAM, PFS page free space. Okay, 7, right? 6 covered. GAM page, SGAM page, IAM page, DCM, BCM, PFS, and what else we missed? Just a minute. Let me check. Okay, desktop. Okay, just a minute. 35, 35, 35, 35. Okay, done. DCM, BCM. The server roles, yeah, DCM, database, index page, text or image page. Okay, right. Total 8 types of pages are there: database, index page, text or image page, then GAM or GAM page, SGAM page, PFS, IAM, DCM, BCM. That's it. We covered all the pages, guys. Okay, we covered all the pages. If you still want, what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy paste all these things so that no one will ask you, but safe side, if you want, you can still refer these things. Okay, where is our notepad? Yeah, types of pages: database, okay, and system page, databases and system pages. Database, text or image page, index page, GAM, SGAM. GAM, SGAM, both are same only. Okay, you can tell like two types of pages: data pages and index pages. System pages. In data pages, we have again 3 types: data page, text or image page, index page. In system page, we have 6 types: GAM or SGAM page, 6 types: GAM, SGAM page, IAM, DCM, BCM, and PFS page. Okay, so I'm going to paste it here. If you're still interested, if you want to learn more about these pages, you can go through it, or else you can refer my old videos, guys. There I explained clearly. Okay, but again, it's not required, guys. Okay, for you generally for 4 years, 5 years, they don't ask. If you are going for 7, 8 years, then they will ask these kind of questions. Chalo, any questions, any doubts, please?
What if pages are corrupted?
What if pages are? You have to restore the database. Okay, you have to restore the database. Generally, if normal data pages and all corrupted, you have to you can restore a single page. In SQL Server, we have a feature to restore a page. Particular page you can restore. Okay, so while restoring, you have to give page ID and all. Okay, but in case if system pages and all corrupted, you have to restore the database. Okay, chalo, fine. So, and again, what else here in this document? One more important point I just want to. So they will ask you, okay, they will ask you what is the page architecture. Okay, page contains page header, page contains page header, row offset, guys. Okay, page size is 8 KB. What is the page architecture? What is the page architecture? Page size is 8 KB. Okay, page contains header and row offset. Header size is 96 KB, I guess. 96 KB. Sorry, not 96 KB, 96 bytes. Okay, bytes, and row offset size is 36 bytes. Okay, that's it, guys. Done. They don't ask more than this. Okay, so in this pages and all. Okay, right. So tomorrow we'll discuss about the patching. We'll discuss. Let me add boot page also. Let me add boot page in case if anyone's still asking, then you can refer this boot page, guys. Okay, no one will ask, but again, safe side, I'm giving extra topics only. Okay, so that it is not going to miss. Chalo, boot page is one special database, guys, that exists only once per database. This boot page will exist only once. One page will be there For whole database, only one boot page will be there. It will exist in the MDF file. Ninth page of file 1 means MDF file. In the primary file group is a boot page. It belongs to page type 13. Boot page contains, what and all it contains, guys? Boot page contains the database version, compatibility level, database name, last log backup information, last run checkdb information will be there in the boot page. Okay, boot page is very important, guys. Okay, chalo, that's it for now, guys. Okay, tomorrow we'll discuss about the patchings. Okay, patchings, let me add it so that tomorrow we
All
don't.
this document,
Sorry.
relate all this note, right?
Yeah, I'm going to share these notes with you guys. Don't worry. I'm preparing for you only. Yeah. And one more question I just want to add. Two questions I want to add here. Resource database, right? Okay, here I'll add. So when you start SQL Server, when you start SQL Server, in what order system databases will start? In what order system databases will start? Okay, so first master will start, guys. Second is your resource DB will start. Third one, your model DB will start. Fourth, temp DB will start. Okay, and finally MSDB will start. Right? And what are the database IDs? System database IDs. Okay, so master ID is 1, guys. Model ID, temp DB, next temp DB. Temp DB ID is 2. Okay, and a model ID is 3. MSDB ID is your 4. And finally resource DB.
32767.
Very good, very good. 32767, guys. That's it. Okay, chalo. That's it, guys. All the things I covered. Okay, so in case this is the document, I'm going to share it with you. Okay, if I'm still missing any questions, just keep adding to this document, guys. Okay, fine. Chalo, that's it for now. Tomorrow we'll connect at the same time. Thank you, guys. Good night, good day.
Good night, sir.
Thank you, sir.